Svetlana Tichanovskaja, welcome to our program. First of all, what did you think when you heard 2 weeks ago that Alexei Navalny died in prison?
It was shock for me, I think for all of us. The symbol of new, maybe Russia, was killed. And immediately, of course, when I heard this news, I thought again and again about political prisoners of Belarus who are kept in the same conditions. People are being slowly killed in Belarusian prisons. My husband, for example, and other people. And I don't know what was aim of Putin in this murder, but I think that he crossed one more red line.
We're going to talk about your husband as well, but first of all, on the day that the world heard that Mr. Navalny died or was murdered, you were at the Munich Security Conference, and there you met with Julia Navalny, now the widow of Alexei. What did you talk about?
Of course, I would prefer to meet Yulia in different circumstances, but, the destiny looks like this. It was private conversation about our husbands, about our fight, about children, about our countries, about our feelings. We shared thoughts. I saw a strong and brave woman. She wasn't expected to be in the same place where she is, same as I was few years ago. And, it was like meat and full of pain. Full of pain because, we can be compared because of our husbands, and both our husbands have been kept as hostages by regimes. And, sometimes we even kept silence. Yeah. We talked, with our eyes.
Did she already know at the time that she was going to be in the footsteps of her husband and that she was going to take this role of opposition leader?
At the moment of our meeting, no, she didn't declare this, but further I heard that she decided to step instead her husband. And I respect this decision, though I understand how many risks and challenges she will face. But women are stronger than they might seem. So there will be a lot of goals for Yulia, to unite the Russian opposition, to show to people of Russia that she's focused on the nation, she's focused on the future of Russia. But also it will be important for us Belarusians and for Ukrainians, I believe, to hear from Russian opposition that they respect independence and sovereignty of neighboring countries.
The two of you are now in exactly the same position. You are the strongest, most brave opposition leader for your country, Julia Navalny as well. Is it a dangerous role to have?
Of course it is. It's like personal risks because, Lukashenko's criminals, they're following like me, not directly, but I feel their presence in the media, and we understand what tyrant machines we are fighting, and of course it's difficult, but the feeling anger about the situation, anger for people in prisons, this pain pushes us forward. So of course it's risky, but you have no other choice just to move.
Your husband, Sergei, has been in prison for 4 years. When is the last time you had a chance to speak to each other?
Last time I spoke to him was May 2020. It will be 4 years. But the last year, my husband is kept in full isolation, in incommunicado mode. It means that even lawyer doesn't have access to him. So letters are not delivered. And my children who were writing to him every week, they asking me why our dad is not responding to us. Is he died? Is he dead? What's going on? Maybe he's ill. And actually, I don't know what's going on with my husband behind the bars.
Yeah, it's maybe a terrible question to ask to you, but are you even sure that your husband is still alive in prison? Do you know for sure?
I don't know for sure, and I don't have possibility to check it, but there are thousands of political prisoners in Belarusian prisons, and each of them is in critical danger right now. Just after Navalny's death, we learned about the death of Ihor Lednik, a Belarusian journalist and activist, and actually already 5 people have been killed in Belarusian prisons. And, I think for Putin and Lukashenko, they are testing the limits, how far they can go without consequences. And the lives of many directly depend on the Western reaction to the murder of Alexei Navalny and Ihor Lednik. If it will be limited to deep condolences and words of condemnation, and so far it looks like that at the moment, then we should prepare for more terrible news. And it should not become a green light for dictators to kill.
What you are saying is that your husband and many others are in direct danger of being killed in prison, also in Belarus.
Absolutely, absolutely. People, a lot of people are kept incommunicado. As I said, we have a list of people with bad diseases, with cancer, with diabetes, with heart attacks, people with special needs, and they don't get any medical care. So people are in human conditions. So anybody can die. It means being killed in Belarusian prisons.
Yeah. Last week there were so-called elections in Belarus for local and the parliament. You compared these elections to a circus by dictator Lukashenko. Why?
Thank you that you called it not so-called elections, because there are so many words to describe it. Circus, as you said, imitation, farce, ritual, anything but elections. It was the process of appointing new officials loyal to Lukashenko. And for the first time, there were no alternative candidates at all. No opposition was allowed to run. Authorities put military and police at every polling station and conducted a massive wave of preventive arrests. So it looked like more military operation, but not democratic process. And for Belarus, why it's not elections? Because this ritual doesn't mean anything. Parliament doesn't have any power, but for Lukashenko, these so-called elections were like the rehearsal maybe before 2025, when presidential elections might take place. And he's afraid of the repeat of 2020, when protests took place all over the country. Yeah. And we called on people to ignore these so-called elections and not to legitimize the regime.
What would you like to say to Western leaders here in The Hague, in the Netherlands, in Brussels, Paris, London, Washington? What should they do after the death of Navalny and other political prisoners in Belarus and in Russia?
I think that democratic, powerful, actually, world has to show to dictators and tyrants that democracy has instruments and tools how to overcome dictators. Because now, at the moment, as far as I can see, dictators don't respect democracy because they think democratic institutions are slow, democratic leaders are undecisive, and it's anti-hands of dictators. They learn from each other, they cross red line after red line without any response. Until dictators feels that democracy can respond to atrocities, to humiliation of their own nations, so dictators will go further and further. Yeah. So, I believe democracy has a lot of instruments. It's first of all, of course, economic pressure through sanctions. It's accountability. It's using international institutions, to demand access to political prisoners or release of them, and of course unity. It should be unity, because now dictators, they are influencing people's perception and people's minds through propaganda, and we see already how countries are being splitted, or this narrative about fatigue is broadly spread at the moment. Right. And we have to stop listening to propaganda and starting to your personal feeling. It's every person's responsibility to contribute into the fight against tyranny.
President Putin just said that if the Western support for Ukraine will keep going on like this, there is a risk of a nuclear conflict with nuclear weapons, and this will be a much wider conflict. Is this bluff, or do you think this threat is real?
No, we should understand that dictators might not stop from anything just to stay in power. Of course, I remember how we were very skeptic about starting the war with Ukraine. I'm still skeptic about, using nuclear weapon, but who knows? Dictators are crazy. And we already see how Putin deployed a Russian nuclear weapon in Belarus to threat our Western neighbors, to threat people. And, they will be always blackmail the West with this weapon. And but I think that the West, collective democratic world, has to show that they will, it will not stop them from restoring the rule of law, from punishing dictators.
Putin has refused to release the body of Alexei Navalny for over a week. Now there is his funeral. Do you think that Putin is still afraid for the legacy of Alexei Navalny?
I think yes, he's afraid of Navalny even dead. He's afraid of his influence. Alexei Navalny was a personal enemy of Putin, and by killing him, he sent the message to the society. And the fact that the funeral ceremony itself can turn into a large protest that can consolidate people against him. Same happened in Belarus when Belarusian activists were killed. The regime did all possible to do it in silence, without public funerals.
What drives you to keep going all these years with not being able to see your husband, not going back to your country? You would be in prison for 15 years. Your kids cannot see their father. What gives you the hope and the strength to continue fighting?
I think that, first of all, it's some people who motivate me. Because people continue to fight despite all fear, terror, despite repressions. Our brave political prisoners also motivate me. I know that they hope on me, they hope on us, on Belarusians and international community. Our women motivate me. They are the driving force of our revolution. Many are involved in journalism, activism, and leading civic initiatives. I know that it's marathon, not a spirit, and we have to be patient, time to time. We have to fight no matter how long it takes. Sometimes I hear also that the first we have to get rid of Putin and then Lukashenko will collapse. But I think that changes can start from Belarus. Changes in Belarus will help Ukraine to win as well and will become a spark for changes in Russia. Therefore, I urge the world to pay more attention to Belarus.
Svetlana Tichanovskaja, thank you so much for your time today in Buitenhof. Thanks a million.
Thank you.
Bedankt voor het kijken. Vond je dit een goed gesprek? Vergeet je vooral niet te abonneren, een like of een comment achter te laten. Dat kan natuurlijk ook.
Nou ja, ik zou echt pleiten voor een morele revolutie onder de elites van Nederland. Stoppen met dat eindeloze geanalyseer van waarom doen die boeren nou zo vervelend? Waarom staan die demonstranten op de snelweg? Nee, wat ga je zelf doen?